Ethan Wingnut and the Journey to the Lost Balloons. Ethan Wingnut's bedroom was covered in posters and models of his inventions. But Ethan's workshop was really a garden shed with silver painted walls and a hot chocolate dispenser button, and was filled with springs, gears and colourful wires. Ethan Wingnut was an inventor. Ethan was 10 years old and had knees perpetually dusted with sawdust and wore goggles even when he was eating his tea. His motto was simple: why use the stairs when you can use a self-propelled multi-stage climbing catapult? One sunny Tuesday afternoon, Ethan unveiled his latest masterpiece, the aerodynamic Cloud Skimmer 5000. To the untrained eye, it looked like a rusty old bicycle glued to a gigantic striped weather balloon with a small, rather old computer bolted to the handlebars. A large battery pack was attached to the back of the bicycle to power it all. "This watch," said Ethan, pointing to a large wristwatch on his arm, "has a GPS unit, and it allows me to navigate," he explained to his dog Sparky, who was currently wearing a modified tin helmet. "It uses atmospheric currents and satellites to show where we are headed and how high we are from the ground. And the bicycle, well, that's the steering when we get closer to the ground." Ethan had a mission. He wasn't after treasure or fame, he was after something much more important: the land of the lost balloons. Every time a birthday balloon slipped out of a child's hand, Ethan knew that it didn't just pop, it flew up, up and up to a secret fluffy continent floating high above the highest cirrus clouds. He strapped himself into the cloud skimmer, flipped the ignition, which was a switch from an old torch, and hit the ascend button, which was a large tempting lollipop. With a gentle swoosh and a sound like a dozen bath bubbles popping, the cloud skimmer lifted off, leaving Sparky barking excitedly at the rapidly shrinking garden. The flight was spectacular. Below him the world was a quilt of green fields and tiny toy-sized houses. Around him the air tasted of clean rain and sunshine, and everything was going perfectly until he reached the perilous puff zones, a thick, dizzying bank of clouds known locally as the Fluffernutter fog. The cloud skimmer began to wobble, and Ethan peered through his goggles, but all he could see was a wet, grey-white mist. "We need a clear path," he yelled over the quiet tinkling of the bicycle wheels hitting the raindrops. Thinking fast, Ethan reached into his inventor's pouch and pulled out the Auto Honk Defuzzifier. It was basically a giant rubber chicken attached to an antique car horn. He twisted a dial marked Super Duper Clarity and squeezed the chicken. Honk! The noise was so ridiculous and loud that it vibrated the Fluffernutter fog right out of the way. The mist parted like a big stage curtain, and there it was, the land of the lost balloons. It was a breathtaking sight. Thousands of helium-filled spheres, every colour imaginable, from dazzling silver to a shimmering impossible blue, floated gently above a giant cloud-soft trampoline. None were popping, they were just quietly hovering, enjoying their eternal retirement. Ethan landed the cloud skimmer with a gentle bounce and spent an hour simply walking among the silent, happy balloons. He saw one with a faded Happy Birthday Jennifer banner and another shaped like a slightly grumpy-looking cow. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in a fiery orange and pink, Ethan knew he had to return home. He carefully picked out a small, faded yellow balloon, one that had been a very old lost friend, and tucked it safely into his pouch as a souvenir. He fired up the cloud skimmer, saluted the land of the lost balloons, strapped Sparky into his seat and slid his goggles over his eyes and pedalled back the bike furiously just for the fun of it, all the way back down to his little silver shed, knowing that the world was far bigger and more wonderful than anyone else suspected. As he left his shed, he thought how much he enjoyed that adventure and would again invent another gadget to take him on another journey.